Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to sew this simple off-shoulder bustier dress with bust contour, with bust allocation. So in my previous video, we learned how to draft the pattern to make this simple dress, and it's on my channel. I will leave the link in the description box and I'll leave it pinned on the comment section. So you can see how the back of this dress fits very well and it is so comfortable. So if you find this video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. So guys, I have used the pattern we drafted in the previous video to cut out the fabric, and this is what we have. So these are the upper parts of the front panel, and you can see I added half an inch all the way around the dart area. This is for the joining allowance. So add half an inch when you're cutting on your fabric so that it won't truncate the size. And this is what we have. And then for the upper part, I also added half an inch for turning over with the lining. And this is the back part. I added half an inch to the upper part alone. And I've also cut out the lining pieces, as you can see. And then for the lower part, I have added my seam allowance to the side of my pattern. I forgot to add it when I was drafting it out. And then I folded in 2 inches on the lower part and cut out my lining, because I'm going to use that 2 inches to turn over the lining. So during the sewing process, you're going to see why I did it that way. So let's go ahead now to start joining the fabrics together. So we're going to start with the back panel. This is the upper part, and I've removed the pattern paper. So the first thing we want to do is to turn over with our lining. So I'm going to place the lining on it this way, right sides facing each other. So go ahead to place yours this way. And then after that, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine now, and I would close up the upper part. Remember, we added half an inch to the fabric when cutting. So that is the reason why I added a half an inch. So I will stitch it down on this side. I'll come over to this zipper area and take in about quarter of an inch, and I'll also close up the other side. I'll do the same thing for this side. I'll leave the lower part opened. So when I'm done doing that, I'll turn it over and show you guys what it looks like. So after stitching down the lining to the fabric and turned it over, this is what I have on one side and this is the other side. I am here to turn it out. So go ahead to notch this upper part of your fabric before you turn it over, so that it's going to sit very well. The lining will sit very well. So just make sure I bring out all the edges of my fabric, and this is what we have. So the next thing is to take in the dart. So I've already notched in the dart point, so I'm going to just fold it together this way. And then remember, our dart is going to stop at 1 inch above our bust point, which is 10 inches for me. So I'm going to just mark that 10 inches there and then stitch it all the way down to the point I notched. I'll stitch it all the way down from that 10 inches. And then when I'm done with that, I'll repeat the same thing for this other side, and then I will go ahead to iron this out for it to come out neatly. So after I took in the darts and ironed it out, this is what it looks like. This is what the dart looks like on the wrong side. So I'm going to set this upper part aside now while we work on the lower part. So moving now to the lower part of this dress, the first thing we're going to do is to turn over with the lining. So I'm going to place the lining on it this way. I'll place them right sides facing each other, and then remember that the lining is 2 inches shorter than the main fabric. So I'm going to pull the lining down to the length of my fabric and stitch it down this way. So let me just use my pins to hold it down so that you guys could understand what I'm saying. So after holding it down, I'll stitch it down on that point, and then when I'm done stitching, I'm going to move my lining up this way to meet the waistline of my skirt this way, and then I'll go ahead to close up the sides using quarter of an inch or half of an inch. I'll close it up this way. I'll come over to this other side and also close it all the way up. So I'll leave the upper part open for turning over, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I turned over the lower part with my lining, this is what it looks like, and this is the wrong side. I've also taken into that just like I did with the upper part. So this is the effect of the 2 inches that I used to turn it over. You can see how neat it came out. You can see how neat it came out on the wrong side. So the next thing I want to do is to join the upper part to this lower part. So I'm going to just place them this way and then place it right sides facing each other. So I'll merge the dart points to each other this way. I'll merge the dart point, and then I'll use that half an inch to stitch it together all the way down. I'll do the same thing for this other side. I'll place it right sides facing each other, and stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after joining the upper part and the lower parts together, this is what it looks like. This is what we have. So you can see the butt allowance at the back, and this is the lower part. So the next thing we want to do now is to insert the zipper. And before you insert your zipper, you're going to determine where you want your zipper to stop and where you want your slits to start from. So I'm going to place them on each other, right sides facing each other, and then I'll make sure the waist area is on the same side. Just merge it together this way, and then I'll get my zipper on my tape rule first to determine where I want my zipper to stop. So I want my zipper to stop on the 20 inches mark, and I'm going to just take my zipper and pin that point. So I'll use my pin to hold down that point. You can use your marker to just mark it out depending on where you want your zipper to stop. And then for the slit opening, I'm going to just come down again by 5 inches from that point. So you can decide whatever length you want for your slit. So I just want mine to be this small, so I'll pin it down. So the only point I'm going to stitch down now is this, between these two pins. I'll stitch it all the way down because the upper part is going to be for the zipper and the lower part is going to be for the slit. So I'm going to stitch it down using the 1 inch seam allowance that is left. So then after that, I'm going to insert the zipper. So I'll just open up my fabric this way and iron it out. I'll iron out my 1 inch zipper allowance. So I'm going to iron out the zipper allowance. So we have 1 inch left because we already used half an inch to turn over with the lining. So I'm going to place it on the 1 inch mark this way. So I'll advise you use your pins to hold this down before you stitch it. And then I'll stitch it all the way down to where I want my zipper to stop. So remember that this butt allocation area, you're going to just take out 1 inch. So be careful with this part so that you won't go and take in all your allowance that you added at the butt area. So use your pins to hold it down first before you stitch it. So when I'm done with that side, I'll do the same thing for this side. I'll make sure I'm taking just 1 inch on that butt area for my zipper. I'll place it this way and stitch it all the way down. So you can use your pins to hold it down before you do this to get a very neat finishing all the way down to the point where your zipper will stop. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys the result. So after I inserted the zipper, this is what it looks like. So you can see that this lower part is bulging out. So this is the butt contour, the butt allowance at the back. So the butt is going to sit on this space. So you're supposed to have something that looks like this when you are done attaching your zipper. So we're done with the back panel. This is the slit area. I'm going to iron my hemming gum to that part so that it sits neatly on the other slits this way. So let's set this aside now while we work on the front panels. So we're starting with the upper part of the front panel, and I've gone ahead to cut out the breast pad I'll be using for the bust area. So I'm going to place it on it this way. So from what I have here, my breast pad is stopping directly on my under bust, as you can see, directly on my under bust. And then for the sides, I've also gone ahead to cut it out. So I'm going to just place it on the right side. Place the part that has the gum on the right side. So, and then I'll go ahead to iron it on it. So after I ironed the breast part to the fabric, this is what it looks like. So I took out half an inch at the upper part because of turning over with my lining. So what I'm going to do now is to place them right sides facing each other this way. I'm going to place them this way, and then using that half an inch that we added to the fabric when cutting, I'm going to stitch it together. So I'll use that half an inch seam allowance to stitch it all the way down. And when I'm done with that, I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll place it on it this way. You can use your pins to hold it down first before you stitch, and stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys. So after joining the three pieces together, this is what it looks like. So before I turn into the right side, go ahead to form notches on the seam area this way. So this is going to help your bustier appear neat on the right side. And then I'll flip it over now to the right side. So after doing that, I'll take it to my tailor's ham and just open up the seam while I iron it very well. So go ahead to open up the seam and iron it very well. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys how to turn over with the lining. So after I ironed out the bustier area, this is what it looks like. So I've also joined the lining pieces together, just like I did with the fabric. So you can iron your ST to this lining for it to be more stable. So I'm going to just go ahead and use half an inch to join the lining to the fabric at the upper part this way. And when I'm done, I'll also join the sides using half an inch. So I'll also turn over the lower part with the lining. So just like I did with the back panel, I'll place the lining on it, right sides facing each other this way. Then I'll pull the lining down to the full length and stitch it down. So when I'm done with that, leave I will pull it up to meet the waistline of the skirt, and then I'll have my 2 inches allowance. I'll close up the sides like I did with the back panel. I'll take in the darts and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I turned over the upper part with the lining, this is what it looks like on the wrong side and this is the right side. And then for the lower part, I've also turned over with the lining and this is what we have. I also took in the darts on the upper part. So this is the 2 inches seam allowance. So I've taken in the dart. So the next thing we want to do is to join the upper part and the lower part together. So I'm going to place them right sides facing each other. I'll match the dart points to each other this way, and then go ahead to use my half an inch to stitch it all the way down. I'll join them together using half an inch all the way down. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I join the upper part and the lower part together, this is what it looks like. So the next thing is to join the front and the back panels together. So I'm going to get my back panel now and place it on it, right sides facing each other. So I'll put my back panel on it this way, and then I'll merge the waist area together. So we're left with 1 inch for seam allowance because we've used half an inch to turn over with the lining. But if you are in doubt, you can go ahead to place your measurement again on the fabric before you join it. But for me, I'm going to use my 1 inch seam allowance to join it all the way down because it always works for me. So I'll close up the other side as well using the 1 inch seam allowance all the way down. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after joining the two sides together, this is what it looks like and this is what the back looks like. So the last and final thing we want to do is to cut out the sleeve for the dress. So this is the fabric I'll be using for my sleeve. So I have my fabric in a fold of two and I'll be cutting the two sleeves together. So the fabric is in a fold of two. I folded the fabric using my round armhole measurements divided by 2, which is 9 inches, and I added 1 inch to it for seam allowance. So if you want your sleeve to be bigger, you can work with more fabric for that. So I'm going to place the armhole area of my dress on the open angle of the fabric this way, and then I'll leave 2 inches at the upper part for my elastic casing, and then on this open angle I'll also leave 1 inch for the seam allowance. I'll leave 1 inch on the side of the seam allowance, and then you can use your pins to hold it down or you can use your chalk to trace out the armhole, but I'm just going to go ahead to cut mine out directly. So after doing that, this is what we have. So I'll open it up now and notch my 2 inches. So I'll notch my 2 inches first before I open it up. So I know that when I'm folding, I'm going to stop at that point where I notched. So I'm going to go ahead now to fold in the upper part and the lower part of this fabric. So this is going to be for my elastic casing at the top. I'll stitch it all the way down. When I'm done with that, I'll do the same thing for the lower part. I'll fold it in twice and stitch it all the way down. So I've got to tell you guys the full length of my sleeve is 16 inches, but I cut out 20 inches because I'll be taking in 2 inches at the upper part and 2 inches at the lower part for my elastic casing. So let me go ahead now to fold in the upper part and the lower part, and then I'll show you guys the next thing to do when I'm done. So I'm gonna head to fold up the upper part and the lower part of my sleeve, and I finished up one of the sleeves, so you can see the elastic band that I inserted. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it for the second sleeve. So to get the amount of elastic band to cut out for the lower part, just go ahead to wrap your elastic band around your sleeve wherever your sleeve is going to stop and get a comfortable length for yours, or you can just take your tape rule and measure what you have all around that part of your sleeve and subtract 2 inches from it. And then for the upper part, I used my tape rule to measure the upper arm and I took out 2 inches from it to get the length of elastic. So to insert the elastic band, I'm going to pass my pin through the elastic this way and then into the elastic casing. So just keep pushing it in this way till I get to the other opening, and then I'll take it to my machine now and I'll stitch it down on this side. So when I'm done with that, I'll stick down the other side. So I'll repeat the same thing for the lower part. And when I'm done, I'll close it up this way, right sides facing each other, and I'll stitch it down using my 1 inch. So that's the same thing I did for this sleeve. So this is what you should have when you're done inserting your elastic. So this is the wrong side. You can see I closed it up using 1 inch. So let's go ahead now to insert the sleeve to the dress. So I'll open up the armhole of my dress this way and place the part of my sleeve where I joined facing the part of my dress where I joined, and then I'll use my pin to hold it down. So you can use your pins to hold it down all the way around before you stitch. So I'll just place it down this way up to that part, so means the upper part. So you can see that it fits perfectly into the armhole area, and I'll stitch it down. So when I'm done with that part, I'll turn it over to the other side this way and also stitch it all the way down. So you can use your pins to hold this down first before stitching. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys the finished product of the dress. So after I inserted the sleeve, this is the finished product of the dress. So you can see how beautiful it looks and how easy this is to achieve. So this is what it looks like in front, and this is what the back looks like. So this is where we end this video for today. I hope you found it useful and I hope you learned something new. So don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video.